this big one?
I don't know if it's not high tech.
Yeah, so what we're going to talk about over the next few weeks is context, need, solution, and outcome. So context for what we want to sort of discover is the context for the organizations that you're working in that we're going to sort of form teams around. So what are the issues that you guys have? What programs do you guys have? What day-to-day do you work on?
The reason for this, by the way, is that we all come from different places, and it's easy to, it can be very difficult to kind of understand what we do, and so it's good to just start with the brass tacks of, okay, what does your organization do, step by step? Okay, what does it mean to work on hunger issues? What's a hunger issue? That kind of thing. And this is a whole framework in general to tease out good ideas that we should turn into app prototypes. It can just help kind of clarify what we're looking for, and so he's going to be stepping through it, and I'm going to give an example of one so we know what we're in again.
Yeah. So we're going to, like what I was saying, we're going to work through this process to really try and to get it down to what problems we're going to solve. Like with CNT, the organization that we work for, a 35-year-old think tank focused on urban sustainability. So, I can tell you guys about our COD project in the South Suburbs with SSMMA and other partners to sort of redevelop around. It means nothing to most people, right? But it's sort of to get beyond the sort of terms that we use and then not really focus on the language and really get down to sort of discovering what we want to do. And that's part of what we're hoping is going to happen tonight. So the solution, so once we've sort of established really what we're trying to do, what sort of solutions could we come up with to really solve those problems? So what technology exists? What capability is there? What skills do people have to really start working on it?
This is the part where you brainstorm and you say, okay, so we can find that problem. Let's sketch out a bunch of different things we could build real quick, and then just kind of distill the best one.
Right. So for outcome, putting together a prototyping tool. That's what we're hoping to get out of this.
Right? And the outcome is your idea of if you were to build the thing, how would the people in the organization actually use it? And then what impact would that translate to? So, right, if the tool was like something that lets me find my bus, then people, in this case, the community could find their bus, and then that means increased mobility, better access to jobs, whatever. So get you thinking outside of the tool, okay, what does the tool actually give you? So that's the outcome piece. I'm going to do a real quick example of this so we know what it looks like with a project that a few of us worked on over the summer with the new Diddy bikes so you guys have seen around. So we started talking to the city and the actual company that runs the Diddy bike system. And we didn't know anything about bike share at first, and so we ended up using something like this framework to kind of understand where they're coming from and then what particular need they had. So the context then is, what is bike share to begin with? Bike share is a new form of public transit. You can grab out a bike. It's kind of one-way bike rental. You grab it up here and leave it there. It's great because it connects you to public transit and it makes one-way trips across the neighborhood easy. That's what you started with. Like, what is bike share to begin with? It just launched in Chicago, so they're still working out the kinks. And there's a really, really key problem with bike share, which is you need to have a bike available in order to ride, and you just as importantly, need to have a dock available wherever your destination is, otherwise you can't put the bike. It's like a fundamental obvious thing, right? What's not so obvious is that the bikes, because of commuting patterns, tend to all pile up downtown in the morning, and then in the neighborhoods in the afternoon, creating big gaps. So they actually have these trucks, you might have seen, these big blue trucks that they actually move the bikes from the full stations to the empty ones. It's called rebalancing. So you want to actively rebalance the bikes across the system. That way there's always a bike and a dock there when you need it. So that's all context. We haven't gone to the actual specific need they have, which was the way that they rebalance is they look at a phone app of which stations are currently empty or full, because the stations have sensors and they're broadcasting the number of bikes every minute. So I have 8 bikes, I have 8 bikes, oh, I have 7 bikes. And so they just say which places are empty, which places are full. Right now, okay, let's hit those. But that means that they're being very, very reactive. They're waiting until problems arise and then responding, as opposed to being proactive. What if they could know 2 hours ahead of time, that one's going to be full, that one's going to be empty, so let's move bikes from the one that's about to get full and put it in the station that's about to get empty. So their need is, they want some way of being more proactive about the rebalancing. See, that's a very, very specific problem. They could have had a number of things. You want to get to a very, very clear and crisp description of the problem. because that helps you brainstorm the solution better. So initially we said, okay, there's any number of ways we could skin this cat. Let's draw a few of them. And when I mean draw, you might be drawing the interface of an app. You might also just be sketching out an idea. Sketching kind of helps you think. And the best way to do this brainstorming is just like throw stuff out, no judgment. The whole point is just to get the juices flowing, sketch out a bunch of stuff, and then try to get good thinking going. And then you can kind of see what sticks. And the last thing is make sure you actually think about what the tool will do, because it might be that, like, I think, so we ended up coming up with a predictive model that would help you predict 2 hours ahead of time the numbers of bikes at the station. But a predictive model is just like an equation that sits somewhere. So unless there's some way that if I'm a guy in a truck, if there's some way I can act on that information, it's useless. The equation might exist on a piece of paper, but it's completely useless to me. So we had to think a lot about, okay, how are they going to actually use this thing? Well, maybe if they have smartphones, okay, they have smartphones. So what could we show them that would actually be actionable? And we came up with a very, very simple design that basically shows you move a slider and it shows you the number of bikes we expect to see in 2 hours. We tested it out with some drivers and they're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So that part is just as important, because if you nerd out on the technology, we don't think about the human factor of how it's going to be used, and then what. Okay, so now they can rebalance things better, which means there are bikes there, which means bike shares more reliable, which means better mobility, better health for people, environmental impact. Okay? So again, just a tool for guiding our brainstorm this evening. And we're gonna.
I think. Yeah. So tonight, break off into groups, grab some pieces, start talking to people who you've heard present tonight. Who you think?
What if you're shy?
If you're shy.
So we have facilitators. Facilitators, raise your hands. Okay. So some of these folks are gonna. Pair up with the community folks we just heard from and kind of split off into the space, and then go find them, go talk to them. We're going to come back in 30 minutes, and let's to keep things focused, let's try to come up with, let's talk and try to figure out the context and the need first. We can come back and kind of talk about it, and then do part two.